Early civilizations. In what ways did the people of the Americas create advanced civilizations? Explain how the location of early American civilizations affected the way that people lived. Describe achievements and customs of early American civilizations. Words to know. Civilization, government, custom, tradition, hieroglyph, class, pueblo. You are there. The crowd around you sits elbow to elbow, eagerly waiting for the game to begin. The sound of drums fills the air as the ball players march onto the field. Some of the ball players are wearing pads to protect themselves from injury. You can see why. The rubber ball they are using looks very hard. This game is played for honor. According to the rules of your people, the winning team will receive gifts, while the losing team will lose their lives. The Olmec ball game is one of the first team sports in history. San Lorenzo, above, was once an important Olmec city. Artists there carved a giant stone head such as this one. So let's set up our Cornell notes. On the left side, the Olmec. The Olmec. How was the Olmec civilization similar to our civilization today? Let's read. Once people began to have a more settled way of life, civilizations started to develop. A civilization is an advanced culture that usually has cities with well-developed kinds of learning, religion, and government. A government is a system for deciding what is best for a group of people. It protects members of the group, settles disagreements among them, and provides a way for the group to make rules and choose leaders. The Olmec civilization was one of the earliest in the Americas. From about 1500 BC to AD 300, the Olmec ruled most of what is now southern Mexico. The area the Olmec lived in had a tropical climate with a rainy season and a dry season. The oldest Olmec city that archaeologists have discovered is San Lorenzo. Like many Olmec cities, it is located near a river. The location of some Olmec cities near rivers suggests that the Olmec used rivers to travel between cities and build a trade system. Olmec artifacts have been found in many areas of Mexico. A strong trade system was just one achievement of the Olmec. They developed a counting system and a calendar to keep track of the seasons. The Olmecs depended on the rainy season to water their crops. And let's remember to rap when we read. Read a paragraph, ask yourself about the main ideas and details, and then put it in your own words in your notes. Rap when you read. No one is sure why the Olmec civilization fell from power, but it clearly had a great influence on other civilizations. Today, some historians call the culture of the Olmec the, quote, mother culture of the Americas, because many Olmec customs or ways of doing things were continued in later civilizations. So how was the Olmec civilization similar to our civilization today? early civilizations of North America. The Olmec, the Mound Builders, the ancient Puebloans, and the Maya. And if you go further down, then you would get the Aztec. But that would be in South America. A new section of our Cornell Notes, the Maya. How were the Mayan and the Olmec societies alike? The Mayan. The Mayan civilization was influenced by Olmec traditions. A tradition is a way of life or an idea that has been handed down from the past. Between AD 300 and AD 900, the Maya ruled much of what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, and northern Belize. The area the Maya lived in had a tropical climate that was hot and humid, moist. The Maya developed their own writing system, which allowed them to tell their history. Their writing system was based on hieroglyphs, or picture symbols. They also used a counting system like the Olmec. The Maya were divided into social classes. A class is a group of people in a society who have something in common. At the top of Mayan society were the religious leaders. Then came important families, traders, and farmers. Scientists are not sure why the Mayan civilization fell. Some blame the fall on disease, while others think it was warfare. However, even after the Maya fell from power, their culture continued. The Mound Builders. Archaeologists use the name Mound Builders to group together many American Indian tribes. What these groups had in common was that they all built mounds made of earth. However, their cultures, their locations, and even their reasons for building mounds differed. The earliest mound builders were the Adena. Their civilization was located in the Ohio River Valley. It lasted from about 1000 BC to AD 200. The Adena mounds were used for burials. As more people were buried, the mounds got bigger and bigger. Some reached heights of 90 feet. In about 300 BC, another mound building culture called the Hopewell developed in what is now the central United States. Like earlier civilizations, the Hopewell built a strong trade system. Its trade paths stretched from the Rocky Mountains to Lake Superior. The largest of the mound-building civilizations was the Mississippian. It developed in the Mississippi River Valley at about AD 700. The largest Mississippian city was Cahokia in present-day Illinois. By AD 1200, more than 30,000 people lived in Cahokia. Moundville in present-day Alabama was another large city. Religious leaders ruled the city and the surrounding area. People lived in this area from about AD 900 to AD 1500. So 3 mound builders: Adena, Hopewell, Mississippian. How do they use mounds? This painting shows what a mound builder's settlement might or may have looked like. The ancient Puebloans. Look at the map of North America on page 38. Find the place in the southwest where Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico meet. This area is called the Four Corners. Four Corners. Some of the first people to settle this area are known as the ancient Puebloans. The climate of the area they lived in was hot and very dry. The ancient Puebloans started to build their civilization in about AD 100. They lived in houses that had many floors and many rooms. These houses were often built against canyon walls or in caves. When the Spanish arrived in the Southwest more than 1,400 years later, they called this kind of home a pueblo, the Spanish word for village. Usually, there was no entrance on the first floor. Instead, people climbed ladders to the roof and entered from there. In case of enemy attack, they simply pulled up the ladders. To feed themselves, the ancient Puebloans grew maize, corn, bean, and pumpkins. They farmed enough maize to enable them to store extra food in special storage rooms for use in hard times. The ancient Puebloans were also expert basket makers. In fact, some of their baskets were so tightly woven that they were waterproof. These baskets were used for storage and sometimes for cooking food. A person could put corn mash in a basket and then drop it into a hot stone that cooked the mash. The ancient Puebloan culture thrived for about 1,000 years. At the culture's peak, the population may have been as high as 20,000. Then people began to move away. Scientists think that a change in climate was part of the reason they left. Evidence shows that a terrible drought, where there's no rain, that a terrible drought started in about AD 1276. Careful planning had helped the culture survive droughts before, but this drought lasted almost 25 years. It made the land completely dry. By AD 1300, the ancient Puebloan civilization had disappeared from the Four Corners. Pueblo Bonito is the largest site in New Mexico's Chaca Canyon. It covers more than 2 acres, rises 4 stories, and may have housed as many as 1,200 people. At the area that is known today as Mesa Verde National Park in Colorado, early Americans carved stone villages in the canyon walls. How was the climate of the area where the ancient Puebloans lived different from the area where the Olmec lived? let's look at the questions. Summary first. In summary, the earliest civilizations in the Americas were influenced by the geography and climate of the areas in which the people lived. All of these civilizations developed different customs and traditions. To review, in what ways did the people of the Americas create advanced civilizations? Write a description of a pueblo. What did the Adena, Hopewell, and Mississippian cultures have in common? What important form of communication helped the Maya record their history? And why do you think some early civilizations were divided into classes? Using a cultural map. Why it matters. You already know that different kinds of maps can show different kinds of information. A cultural map is one that shows cultural regions of a place. Understanding cultural regions will help you know what the peoples who lived there had in common. What you need to know. On a cultural map, regions are usually identified by colors or symbols. The map on page 43 uses color to show North America's early cultural regions. In all, there are 11 colors, each representing a different cultural region. Arctic, subarctic, Arctic, subarctic, Northwest coast, plateau, California, Great Basin, Southwest, Plains, Eastern Woodlands, Middle America, Middle America, Caribbean, early cultures. Let's see. As you can tell from the map, each cultural region was home to several different American Indian groups. Each group was different from the other groups in the region. Yet the life ways and traditions of all the groups in a region were affected by the same climate and landforms, as well as the same animals and vegetation. So here are 3 questions to try when you have your own book to look them up. And let's review Chapter 1. About 5,000 years ago, people began farming in North America. About 3,500 years ago, the Olmec civilization is strong. About 3,000 years ago, the early mound builder groups developed. Vocabulary to know. Climate. Which one is climate? Ancestor. Which one is ancestor? Legend. Which one is legend? Custom. Which one is custom? Hieroglyph. Hieroglyph. Which one is hieroglyph? What mountain range covers much of the eastern United States? Which mountain range covers much of the western United States? What was Beringia? What was one important achievement of the Olmecs? Write the letter of the best choice. From the Appalachian Mountains, which direction would you travel to reach the Great Plains? Would you travel east, west, north, or south? Number 13. Which statement best describes early people in North America? They often hunted alone, they lived in one place, they hunted larger animals, or they built stone shelters.